I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Tonight's presentation of the U.S. Open Wheel Championship on the National Racing Network is presented in part by the Kresge Society for Orphan Kermits, the Bizzle Foundation for Bratwurst Excellence, the iRacing Forums Potatoes Club, and viewers like you. Thank you. What's up, everybody? Chris Graham here with the National Racing Network. If PBS is going to be begging for money that way, damn well we're going to do it too. Welcome back. It's the U.S. Open Wheel Championship coming to you live from the Oulton Park Circuit in Little Budworth, Cheshire, England. Oh, it's championship night. We are looking forward to a fantastic show, as I mentioned. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. Patrick Byrne and Mr. James Watson. And James, we'll come to you first. Championship night, always fun. Everything's really decided at this point, which really means this is kind of an all guts and glory kind of race.
Pretty much, yeah. It's always a smidge disappointing when you get scenarios like this, but that's racing sometimes, and we're still gonna have everyone giving their all, trying to get as much iRating as they can, as points as they can. We still got one last SOF trophy up for grabs, so yeah, the championship may be decided, but the race certainly isn't.
Yeah, and Bizzle, 14 turns, 2.692 miles in length, 4.33 if you want to do it in kilometers. This place is really kind of interesting, and I think for the PM18s, it's going to lead to a pretty exciting race.
Yeah, me and Johnny Avila were here last week just doing some testing in the USF. He may or may not be with us for the USF race, by the way.
Oh, very nice.
And it was a freaking barn burner. Me and him just going back and forth. Brian Labarge joined us, and he blew the doors off both of us. But it was really fun just going around this track. I've only ever driven it in a Lotus 49, and wings kind of make this place almost too fast. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what our drivers are going to be able to do here tonight as qualifications are just getting out onto the racetrack. And let's pick up, let's see if we can't find Mr. Carter Lundy here. Let's see. He is out on the racetrack for his qualifying session. Bringing out the players' colors tonight. At least that's what I am seeing here. That's a little bit different than what we're normally used to seeing Mr. Lundy run here.
Yeah, with him being Canadian, I almost wonder if it's a Greg Moore tribute.
Could be. Very, very well could be. Also on the racetrack, David Porcelli, Nagisa Yoshikawa. Actually, here, let's pull up our timing and scoring graphics here so we can show you who everybody is and where they're going. That banked hairpin turn is one of my favorites because it leads to what people think are passing opportunities, except they're not. Then you run the long blast up the hill into this right, left, right kind of chicane. Again, a place that you think you can pass, James, but the reality is you have to be really patient here at Oulton Park.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of real great passing opportunities at this place. It's super narrow at this track, especially through the chicane and through the last sector of the track. So your only real passing opportunities are going to be down here into the last corner, into turn one. and then that awesome banked hairpin. Otherwise, stick your nose in at your own risk.
Yeah, Carter Lundy going. Oh, go ahead, Bizzle.
This track is a fantastic natural terrain road course, and it really hasn't changed much even since the 60s. There's a video floating around on YouTube somewhere, one of the few onboard shots we got from the early days of F1, of Graham Hill flying around here in the 1966 Lotus, and this track is identical. And just watching him go through that hairpin sideways, four-wheel drifting it through there is just fantastic, and to see that this track hasn't changed a bit, it's just all the more better.
Yeah, the lap times are going to be pretty ridiculous around here. David Porcelli's first lap did not score. We'll see what he does here on lap number 2 as Lundy has the lockup into the chicane, and he's going to end it right there. 1 minute 23.988 will be the lap time of record for Carter Lundy. Here's Brian Labarge, his NASA meatball, coming over the line to complete his second qualifying lap. As Labarge jumps up to P2, 124.468, going to be about 0.4 of a second back. Rod Eskew completing his qualification run. Oh, buddy, hopping curbs, catching some air at the law firm, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. He's going to be the next driver, one of the next drivers, to complete his second lap. Simon Feld and the AJ Camargo also making this one as Jason Miller slots up into position number 6. Hazelworth, second lap, does not score. We'll pick up Simon Feld now in his TNT Shock number 12. 2 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in qualifying. And it looks like the only cars that we may have left to get a lap in, their second lap, will be Simon Feld and the AJ Camargo. Fell over the line. His second lap will be good enough for 11th quick on the grid. 1 minute 25.313. And the last car that will secure a time here is the AJ Camargo. He's on his second lap. He better make it a good one. And James, we were discussing right before the race, right before the session closed, were we going to have 26 or 27 on the entry list? 26 means an absolutely monster grid and maybe some carnage towards the back of the pack. 27 means you end up with a 14-car split, a fairly small split, and this is going to be the absolute best of the best here, and really what you want to see on a championship night.
Yeah, like, it's not going to be a big race, but there's going to be big points on offer. Like, the SOF is probably going to be absolutely astronomical. And while that might not have a huge role to play in the championship, potentially, there's still a lot of other positions up for grabs. So, it's going to be a big race for a lot of other guys. Still got division championships after all.
Yep, David Porcelli has locked up the overall and Division 1 championship, sitting on 1,491 points entering tonight. Second place, Everett Paddock, is at 1,319. So almost 200 points, and you're not going to get that out of a 3277 SOF. So Everett Paddock will hold on for second. Brian Labarge will win the championship in Division 2. Potentially outright, yeah, without even starting. He had a 160-point lead over Mike Holler. Rod Eskew, currently third. He is only 42 points back, so that position could possibly change hands. But there's so much racing that still has to go on for the week that really we wouldn't know the answer to that one tonight either way. In Division 3, same kind of story. Mobin Khan, 774 to Brian Karszewski's 711. It's a 63-point gap between those drivers. Possible, but you start factoring in the drop weeks and everything else, and Mobin Khan is safe-ish in terms of the Division 3 championship. In Division 4, it will be Carl Giangrande sitting on 535 markers, 115 up over Robert Brooks. So the Division 4 championship is settled. And looking at Division 5, Mike Long well ahead of Paolo Nucci. So congratulations to our champions that have already locked things up here this evening. Let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's U.S. Open Wheel Championship finale here from Oulton Park, and it will be Carter Lundy on the front row. No surprise there. 1 minute 23.988, the only car in the 1 minute 23s for the lap of record for Carter Lundy. Second on the grid to his outside will be the NASA meatball of Brian Labarge, 4.48 seconds behind your pole sitter. Row number 2 will have David Porcelli in the number 2. He was a half second back a quick time, lining up alongside the number 6 of Rod Eskew. Row 3, the Target Lightning Bolts of Richard Holt alongside the PPG Paints Shell V-Power, number 8 of Jason Miller. Row number 4, Nagisa Yoshikawa, the T. Watson Racing Setups, number 3, alongside the Sahara Force India of James Richards, an F1 paint scheme with an Ayrton Senna helmet. I'm excited. That's going to make this one a fun show. Row number 5 will be the Dr. Dabber, it looks like Echelon Simsport, number 11 of Mobin Khan, alongside the number 4 of Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. Row 6 will see the TNT Shock, number 12 of Simon Fell, alongside the Citizens Climate Lobby, number 9 of Mike Holler. Hopefully I got the sponsor right on that one for you, Mike. And lining up on row number 7 will be the Napa Auto Parts, number 14 of Jason Paydu, alongside the T. Watson Racing Setups National Racing Network, number 13 of Nieje Camargo. 14 cars on the entry list for this one here tonight. 18 laps is the scheduled distance for this one, which means we're probably looking at like 12 or 10 laps for the D-Class race coming up here in just a little bit. But Field's going to get the short pace lap, I believe. Yeah, pace car is already off. Starter has the flag in the air. Green flag's out. We're underway here at Oulton Park. Porcelli trying to go 2 for 1 out onto the front row. It's not going to happen. Carter Lundy right there. Oh, 1 car wide. That's going to be James Richards sliding wide. He's going to lose a couple of positions. Fall back to 6th. Nagisa Yoshikawa having a look on Brian Labarge. And I'll tell you what, Bizzle, I get a whole lot of Barber Motorsports Park vibes when the Indy cars go there. A place that they say is too narrow to run usually puts on a pretty darn spectacular race because it forces the driver's hand.
Yeah, but hot take, I actually like this track.
I do too.
A bit of a hot take. I enjoy it, but it's just kind of a love it.
Yoshikawa gets run over.
Yoshikawa goes around.
Yoshikawa's going to be okay, though.
Wow.
Jason Miller, though, he's going to be stuck in the pits. That was a hard hit.
Wow, here's the netcode gods were kind to Yoshikawa.
Yeah. Let's take a look here.
That car doesn't even have a scratch on it. Yoshikawa got pounded too. It's amazing that car is perfectly fine. Oh yeah,
wow,
just rips
right
over him.
Hit. Jason Miller up and over the back, and he has to take the tow. And Nagisa Yoshikawa on pit lane as well. Looks like his night will be over. Carter Lundy holding on to a 6/10 of a second lead over David Porcelli. Excuse me, 2/10. My goodness, that was a quick sector there. Porcelli gonna have the big dive.
These two guys just can't get away from each other. Porcelli taking lead. Lundy's going for it in the keyhole. Oh, not gonna get anything done there, but he's gonna get the run down the straightaway into the chicane.
My goodness.
Are these guys gonna close out the season with a photo finish? I
well,
sure hope so.
They've done it 3 times this season. Actually 4. I believe, and the total separation across 4 finishes on broadcast for these guys is something like 18 1/1000ths of a second. One of those races was 16 thousandths of a second. Absolutely insane. We had a finish for the win that was a dead even finish between these two to the thousandth of a second.
They did it twice, a dead even finish.
Yeah.
In the same night.
Incredible. Oh, man, big bizzle there by Lundy.
Porcelli with a new fastest lap. Porcelli's going to be really on the run now. And same spot, Porcelli is just able to get in that left-hander so much better than Lundy can.
Possible trouble on the racetrack here for Brian Lamarge. Oh, yeah, he was way off the racetrack.
I believe he's working for Tony Kanaan now in the lawn mowing service.
That is correct. By the fantastic video that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway put out with TK and the kids, starting TK and Sons lawn service. They had him mowing the grass on the back straightaway.
Lundy goes for it again in the chicane.
Big dive into the chicane by Lundy. What a pass there. These guys are fun to watch, and I'll tell you what, they're actually kind of holding serve in terms of the gap back to third place, Richard Holt.
Yeah, Richard Holt again in the hot seat. We saw this work out for Everett Paddock last week. Just kind of sit there in third, let these guys duke it out, and come on the white flag, they're going to wreck each other, and you go out there and take the win.
Take a look, let's go on board here with Richard Holt. As James Richards sets a new fastest lap of the race. He's got a great view of this battle here of the leaders. Again, down into the big banked keyhole. Lundy's now opened the gap up to, well, it was, yeah, still right around 0.6 of a second ahead of David Porcelli. Let's take a look here. James Richards coming around Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. Big dive.
The drag race down the straightaway. You can see that chicane is really the hot passing zone here in these cars. You can get the run out of the keyhole, run side by side, and just get it done in the chicane.
It's so nerve-wracking because it's so easy to just kill the tires on the inside. Like, it's such a gut check moment every time you go down in there.
Carter Lundy with the new fastest lap. It looks like he's starting to build a little bit of a gap off Porcelli.
Yeah, it's up to 0.8 of a second. We'll take a look here at the replay. Mike Holler possibly having an issue. Oh, yeah, way off into the grass goes Mike Holler. He brings it back on the speedway, and already hitting almost the 1/3 mark in this race. That'll be at the conclusion of the next lap. While we have a moment here, I have to say a huge thank you to all of you fans that tuned into these races, the drivers who watch them back afterwards. It really means a lot to us. We appreciate your support, and we're looking forward to bringing back another season of U.S. Open Wheel doubleheader coverage. Kicking off in 2 weeks. Big build being released. James, you're probably more on top of this than I am, but dirt getting an overhaul, some new content on the road course side of things. All the dentists are rejoicing with the P3 coming out. There's a lot happening in this June build on iRacing.
Yes, I am so looking forward to Willow Springs being added. It is such an underrated circuit. I got to go there a year ago and ride in a track day Porsche, and that track is just a lot of fun to be around. It's deceptively tough. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, and the dirt overhaul, that's going to be incredible. It's going to really flip the dirt oval side on its head, so I'm curious to see what happens with that. We're basically
Big mistake for Lundy! Huge mistake for Lundy!
I was just about to comment on the precision that Lundy takes that chicane with. I wanted an onboard shot. He's getting within millimeters of tires and blows it completely and just hands the lead to David Porcelli.
You hear that, folks at home? Patrick's responsible for the commentator's curse.
I didn't say anything just yet. I kept it to myself.
It's not my fault.
Come on, don't put the hate mail thing up, really?
It's not my fault this time. Hooray!
Oh, that's beautiful.
Carter Lundy closing the gap in once again, though, down to 0.2 of a second.
Watch, he might go off the next corner. Be quiet.
It's a good thing we're drinking tonight. This is making this a whole lot more fun listening to these two cars. Poor Jelly.
As if to say we're not always drinking.
I would like to thank my sponsor, Smithwick's.
Yeah, I've got a line of Kugel Summer Shandy tonight. Oh, God, it is fantastic.
Oh, I almost picked some of it up, but I had to go with the good classic.
Yeah,
Gotta go with Smithwick's.
I tried to shotgun Leinenkugel Summer Shandy last week in Indianapolis, and it did not go well. And there may or may not be footage of me absolutely screwing it up.
Lundy taking the chicane properly this time.
And
really,
that's a big change when you go from you're used to taking it with full downforce, you're right up under the attenuator as somebody. That's a completely different feel to the car entering that tight of a corner.
Yeah, I had to relearn this track when I was trying to teach it to Johnny Avila because I've only ever run this track in Lotus 49, a very different car than this. Half the weight, twice the power, and minus all the wings. So just putting wings on these cars changes the whole way this track drives. As Carter Lundy's going to try and get the inside in the one, they stay side by side.
Side by side through one, they not going to do it through two.
Lundy's going to try the crossover into three. Maybe not. Just going to sit behind, try and get it done in the keyhole as he's tried every single lap, but hasn't gotten it to work just yet.
Well, yeah, that's sort of where you have to be patient around this place. There are a lot of spots that you think you can get a pass made, and it's just not there.
Yeah, this track is so narrow. I know you've said it before, but it almost looks like there's a door opening, and then it'll seem like the driver in front of you has shut the door, but really, you've just run out of racetrack to make the move. Lundy's going to try the side-by-side in the chicane once again. Blows it once again! We are seeing more mistakes out of Carter Lundy tonight than we have seen all season.
And that's a big slowdown penalty here, too.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to give up third as well.
Yeah, he's going to have to because it's a very quick succession of corners here. And now for Richard Holt, this possibly brings him back into the race. Because if... oh, excuse me.
Too much Summer Sandy in there.
Yeah, if Carter Lundy wants to have a shot at this win, he's going to have to work with Richard Holt and try to draft those two cars back up to David Porcelli.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's going to work. Carter Lundy's still a very young driver, still has to hone in on his pure racecraft, and I don't know if he's got the patience enough to just sit behind and draft and try and close the gap. He's going to want to get around Richard Holt and try and close that gap by himself.
Yeah, that's the hard part for Lundy there. I mean, you saw it there on the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. And you just overcooked the entry ever so slightly. And these cars, they're open wheelers, but they're not formula cars. They're not step on the brakes and the car's going to stop. I would be almost a little nervous here if I'm Lundy. Wow, nice execution there.
He's fearless.
Yeah.
They're almost formula cars. They're the Formula 4 chassis is what they start out as. But since they do run at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, they have so much extra bracing, so much extra weight that other Formula cars don't need just because of the potential impacts that can happen at the oval.
Well, cross flags halfway home. It'll be lap number 9 is complete. Here, 9 down, 9 to go at the Oulton Park Circuit as Carter Lundy sets a new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 23.877. That is...
Carter Lundy seeing red now.
Yeah, he's a half second quicker than David Porcelli's fastest lap of the race.
Gap is under 2 seconds now. Coming into the keyhole, it's going to be down to, holy cow, down to a second and 7/10. Oh, man.
I'll tell you what, Lundy is absolutely a gasser. The part that really strikes me is the ability to just put the mistake out of your head. The lap prior, you make a big mistake, give up a couple of spots, and then you're just right back to setting fastest laps. It's like there is no recovery time for this kid.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to learn as a driver is, okay, you screwed up on lap 4, but don't let it keep affecting you on lap 10, lap 20. You kind of got to go, okay, it is what it is, take a deep breath, and just keep driving. Otherwise, you're just going to be slow the whole rest of the race. You get in your head and you start fighting yourself.
Yeah,
and there's already enough cars on the racetrack, already enough racetrack to fight. You don't need to fight yourself on top of it.
Yeah, I believe I've talked about it a couple times. Like, the best guys in the world, it's not that they don't make mistakes, is that they know how to limit the damage of their mistakes. They know how to compose themselves and keep it from compounding. Like, they only isolate it to one corner. They don't continue the mistake to the next corner, the next lap. That's the biggest thing that the top guys can have over, us have fun scrubs.
Yeah, and it's not even just the limiting the damage part. It's that ability to refocus yourself. Because Lundy has cut this gap down to now 0.8 of a second. He's within draft range by turn 1, so long as he doesn't blow the chicane here. By turn number 1, he's going to be back up under the attenuator of Porcelli, and you're right back to game on again.
Yeah, Carter Lundy is also another one of those drivers, like Kyle Larson early in his career as well, where needs a rabbit to chase. If David Porcelli's in front of him, his only goal is get Porcelli and pass him. As soon as he's in front of Porcelli, you're going to see his lap time start to drop. He's not going to be going as fast because he doesn't have anything to chase anymore, which is fantastic that he can catch, but to really achieve the next step for Carter Lundy, he needs to be able to pull away. Which, another fastest lap of the race with 12, 13 laps on tires. Incredible.
123.6. That's actually faster than what he qualified at, I think. Because it was a 123.8. Now, you do have more heat in the tires here, James, but still, this kid is absolutely putting on a show.
Yeah, like, how often do we see a car be out of the draft range and just wrestle the car right back into it? I think only Teddy B, God, I forget where he did that a couple seasons ago.
Carter Lundy looking to retake the lead. Oh, thinks better of it. Brakes really early for the chicane. Doesn't want to make the same mistake 3 times.
Well, I tell you what, I think it's smart. Get on the brakes early because we talk about it. Slow in, power off. That's big around this place. You back the corner up a little bit, and now he's right back under that attenuator.
Not only that, but kind of fake Porcelli out. Porcelli's seen him blow it twice, so with him right there, you're getting in the Porcelli's head a little bit. Is he going to blow the chicane? Is he going to take me out? I have to change how I enter this corner. And you're trying to force David Porcelli into making a mistake. I'd much rather pass a guy by forcing him to run off the track than having to sit there and fight him for 10 laps.
Great point. Now let's see where Lundy decides to make the move. Again, he's going to look outside. Same kind of deal. Forces Porcelli onto a more inside lane. that can work at a road course where your slower corners are sort of backed up against each other, but this place is so fast that it's almost like even if Porcelli gives up a tiny bit of speed on corner exit because of how he entered, you're just going to build it right back up again, as they're again going to be side by side to the chicane.
Yeah, and Lundy gets out of it early again. Porcelli not making the mistake, but definitely sacrificing some of his speed through the chicane, not pulling away from Lundy. Lundy almost into the gearbox of Porcelli's car. They were like inches apart.
Trouble for Brian Labarge and Mobin Khan. We'll come to that one here in just a moment. Man, again, Lundy thinking about having the move, but just not quite there yet. Let's take a look here at the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. Down into the chicane. Oh, Labarge slides it a little wide. Mobin Khan getting involved as well. Labarge brings it out onto the racetrack. Oh, and then Mike Holler loses it just up ahead. Porcelli and Lundy both showing it off track. These guys putting every bit into this.
Oh boy, here we go again. Whew. Always gives me anxiety every time.
There you saw the difference, James. It was, tough break Mike Holler. He is beached in the sand trying to get that car moving. But Lundy not giving up the corner earlier cost him about a car length and a half on corner exit. Wondering, Patrick, if that wasn't almost like a, I don't want to say a diversionary tactic, but one of those, like, if I get myself a little bit of a gap here, I can use the draft more effectively. Because if you're right there and you pull out a line, you're not going to think you're going to hit a wall of air and potentially even lose a little speed.
Yeah. Go on, James.
I was going to say, hey, if you time it right where you're just a little bit ways away, like, you can get that slingshot effect. You're not really going to be able to get that when you're already tucked up behind because you've already kind of had to slow the car up to not run into the car ahead of you. So if you just give yourself just a little bit of a gap, then you're really going to be able to take advantage of it.
Porcelli tried to fade Lundy a little bit on entry to the chicane, and it may have hurt him. Because Lundy's now going to have a shot. Different spot for them to be side by side. They're still too wide. What a battle between Porcelli and Lundy. At this point, if you're Lundy, do you almost have to start thinking about, is there a way to pass him out of the final corner?
I don't know, because the final corner is flat. Your biggest bet for a final lap pass or a final turn pass is the second last corner, that sweeping right-hander. You can get a huge run through there, and if you can get on the left side of somebody, you might be able to get it done by the start-finish line, but even then, that's a stretch.
This is by far the closest battle on the racetrack right now. Brian Labarge catching Simon Fell for the 4th position. But with 3 to go, we're going to stick with this battle for the race lead. Again, Porcelli tries to fade Lundy into the chicane. That's almost what Lundy has to do, is force Porcelli into that narrower line into the chicane by just running and holding the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, that was always my key running ovals in the open wheel C cars, the bigger open wheel C cars, I will call them. Just run the middle of the track. You can't get below me, and if you get above me, you're running way too wide a line. So it's a really effective strategy. Some guys consider it dirty, but I don't think so. It's part of the racetrack. You can
Wow. That lap, they were side by side at the line. It was less than a tenth separating Carter Lundy from David Porcelli. Porcelli's hoping for a mistake, or Lundy's hoping for a mistake out of Porcelli. He's just not the guy to make them all that often. And Porcelli, quite frankly, giving Lundy some prime real estate in places because he knows he's going to be better set up for the following corner. Right there through the keyhole. That's a perfect example of it.
Yeah, David is just so smart. He's one of the most cerebral drivers you'll find. Like, it's really, you have to get up pretty early in the morning to pull him.
Lundy looking like he's trying to cross him over in the airpin. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that done, but if anyone's going to do it, it'd be Lundy.
Again, Lundy looks outside of Porcelli, and he's going to be on the outside the rest of the way around this race course. On the white flag lap, I don't know that Lundy gives. He's been, I'll say, receptive to letting David Porcelli have some space. You're seeing it right there out of the corner. Lundy's just ever so slightly backing off to not junk the race car, but a
White
big
flag
dive
though, and he
run.
sends it.
What a pass by Lundy. Great pass into turn number 1. Can Porcelli answer the gap right now, sitting at almost 0.3 of a second?
I don't know. If Lundy can keep this fire up, he's going to keep pulling away, and it's going to be the Carter Lundy show. Porcelli getting the draft down the straightaway, though. He might be able to close it up by the chicane and make one last lunge. Lundy taking a defensive line, dragging it a little bit down the straightaway. Oh, man. Picks that gap right back up through the chicane.
You almost wonder, was this a big brain move by Carter Lundy to just not attempt the pass before the white flag lap? Don't give Porcelli more than one shot at any particular corner to try to answer.
Yeah, this is Porcelli's last shot, and I don't think he's close enough to do it. Lundy gets a little bit sideways, but Porcelli's not close enough to capitalize. It is going to be Carter Lundy first across the line.
Carter Lundy gets the win at Oulton Park in the season finale. He will be your race winner. What a drive from Carter Lundy. That was a spectacular move on the white flag lap and got done what he needed to. And David Porcelli, he's actually already off the racetrack. We would show him, but he gone. David Porcelli, your 2023 Season 2 champion. The year is halfway done for the U.S. Open Wheel C-Class cars. And Carter Lundy going to shoot the chicane one more time. Oh, that's perfect. Spot on, son. Well done. The section of the racetrack that absolutely hoses you a couple of times. He does the celebratory burnouts in, and let's take a look at our race results. Lundy gets the win over Porcelli and Holt on the podium. Brian Labarge and Simon Fell complete the top 5. Alexander Wesley, Hazelworth, Jason Paydu, Rod Eskew, Nieje Camargo, and Mobin Khan complete the top 10. Khan finishing the first car 1 lap down. Mike Holler finishing this race 4 laps down in 11th, followed by James Richards, Nagisa Yoshikawa, and Jason Miller going out in that wild accident just a couple of laps into the race. We'll get our Victory Lane interview cameras all set up and squared away here, and we will get ready to talk to our race winners, our champions, and see who else we can possibly talk to here. Let's see. I think we have them ready to go here. Let's see. Just making sure we got the right cars here. All right, cool. Let's bring up our race winner here tonight, Mr. Carter Lundy. And man, I'll tell you what, Carter, the racing tonight with David was absolutely spectacular. Talk us through it, because after the 2 issues with the chicane, it almost felt like you didn't want to try the pass too soon and possibly show your hand to David.
Yeah, I think they removed one chicane. I think they should have removed both. I just made the same mistake there twice. On the first one, I just locked up, had to go straight, and on the second one, I was half committed to the move with David, and then I knew I wasn't making the corner, so I had to back out. So every time I got a chance into that corner on the outside, I was braking maybe 25, 50 feet early. So just being really cautious through there. But yeah, I clearly had a pace advantage, but I was just trying to be patient and make it work. I didn't need to rush anything or do a crazy move, but I did go for some ambitious moves on the outside of a few places. But there was some good respect between us, and it was, as usual, a great race.
Well, yeah, talk about that a little bit, because you and David were side by side for half a lap, at least 5 different laps here in this race. You have to have a lot of confidence in the people that you're racing with to know that that move's going to stick.
Yeah, and David is a guy you can trust. We've had a bunch of great battles in the past, so I wasn't too worried about us crashing there. And yeah, we're getting really close, basically as close as you can get at some points. So we both left enough room and just enough room, and we got by with a great battle that happened in the race. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the race win here tonight, Carter. And before we let you go, make sure you get all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of.
Yep, thanks to you guys for the broadcast. I guess it'll be the last one for a couple weeks. So thanks to everybody for chipping in for the fundraiser for next season. We'll be looking forward to getting back for season 3. And yep, thanks to Team Watson Racing for the setups. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, brother. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here for just a minute or two. And now let's bring in, actually, we're going to bring in our 3rd place finisher here tonight. That is Richard Holt. A really nice drive for you tonight, Richard. You had a great view of the battles going on in front of you. Talk us through how the night was for you.
It wasn't the most interesting race for me. I had a good start and got up to 3rd, and from there it was just watching David and Carter have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would imagine it's almost frustrating at times, because at one point Carter came back to you because of the penalties, and it's just like, on outright pace, this guy's in another zip code, it feels like. How do you mentally kind of just deal with, hey, run your race, keep your pace, don't make mistakes?
Yeah, I just felt he had so much more pace. I knew he'd catch Porcelli, and thought if I just let him by, hopefully they might have a collision and might race hard, and I might catch up. Unfortunately, I didn't quite have the pace to catch them up. But
Well,
yeah, I didn't want to fight hard, and I didn't want the gap behind to shrink as well.
Yeah, ultimately that was it worked out well for you, Brian, finishing 14 seconds behind you. So the closing stages of this race were not tough at all on you. Congratulations on the podium. And before we let you go, do any of the sponsor plugs and thank yous you might like to get in.
Thank you to Cobalt Racing, my team, for all the hard work and endurance events and whatnot this season. Shout out to you guys for a great broadcast, and all the competitors in Indy Pro for a superb racing series and clean racing, a good community.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate the kind words, and the shout out to the community is definitely one we're going to talk about here. But first, we have to talk to our series champion, guy that has just been, quite frankly, spectacular here. And yeah, let's pull up the battle. David Porcelli, you are the 2023 Season 2 iRacing champion here in Indy Pro 2000. Just fantastic drive tonight and an all-around great season.
Thanks so much, Chris. Yeah, it's really been a blast and an honor for me to be able to compete and secure my second championship in this car. So it's just so much fun.
Yeah, and talk about the race tonight, because at one point we joked, were you and Carter going to finish in a dead heat again for the 5th or 75th time it feels like this season. It has to be a lot of fun racing with him, where somebody that is, the pace is almost identical. It's going to be just outright driver skill that wins it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I am usually on pace with Carter. I have to admit, he definitely had pace on hand this evening, which just makes me so much more proud of my staunch defense effort. Unfortunately, didn't last a lap long enough. So, just gutted about that. But I knew he was going to put something definitive on the final lap. Hats off to him to being so patient. I told him in the chat earlier, I don't know if I would have been able to be so calm with that amount of pace and not being able to get around. So just really, really phenomenal racecraft from him. And it's just been such a pleasure to race all the guys in this series. So I'm looking forward to it next season and trying to lock away a few more championships.
Yeah, and you talk about the guys in this series and the community that has developed here. You are going to win the championship. Everett will be second. Brian Labarge third. Richard Holt fourth. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth fifth. Teddy B up to sixth, and he only got 5 races in this season. It feels like there is a pile of guys that could win this championship, every time you guys come out here. And that's really got to make you feel pretty good that you're among the best in on the iRacing platform.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to have a battle for the championship down to the last few races. It's been that way the past few seasons, whether it's the IP2K or the USF2000. It happens in either car or both, and it's just been so exciting to see that unfold. And the drivers, we don't know what's going to happen some seasons, so it's just real racing on the sim.
Yes, it's a lot of fun, and we appreciate you coming to hang out with us here. And before we let you go, make sure you get all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Absolutely. Shout out to Satellite Racing, Team Watson Racing, and Racecraft One Indianapolis. Hi to the family. Thanks to National Racing Network. Be sure to check out their donation page for the broadcast of the next season. And yeah, thanks to everyone in the community for being class act. Really looking forward to the next season. And thanks, Chris.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here. And as we crown our first champion of the night, then we're going to get ready to crown another one here in the U.S. Open Wheel D-Class cars coming up in just a few minutes. But first, we're going to get a quick commercial break in. We will be back in just about 10 minutes or so. You are watching the U.S. Open Wheel doubleheader right here on the National Racing Network. Tonight's presentation of the U.S. Open Wheel Doubleheader on the National Racing Network is presented by the Kresge Society for Orphaned Kermits, the Bizzle Foundation for Bratwurst Excellence, the iRacing Forums Potatoes Club, and viewers like you. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. It is live iRacing action here on the National Racing Network. Tonight, the stars and cars of the U.S. Open Wheel D Series class. The USF2000 cars taking on Oulton Park Circuit in Little Budworth, Cheshire, England. As always, my name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth by Mr. Patrick Byrne and Mr. James Watson. And I'll tell you what here, boys, after a fantastic show that we just got out of the Indy Pro cars, James, USF, I think, could look a little bit different here in this one.
Yeah, it might be a little more spread out. Although, how oftentimes do we say that and the USF race is just as much as an awesome barn burner as a PM18. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially seeing everyone get down into the chicane for the first time.
Yeah, 16 cars in this particular race. There are a total of 46 on the entry list. And let's take a look at, let's see, we'll pick up Nagisa Yoshikawa making his way out onto the racetrack for qualifying. Again, 8 minutes is the total time allotted. Carter Lundy picking up the win by about a third of a second just a couple of minutes ago. But David Porcelli claiming the big title in the Indy Pro 2000 class. Here in the USF 2000s, Carter Lundy holds the point lead, 1382 to David Porcelli's 1297. It's less than 100 points. But the big number here, Bizzle, is even if Porcelli goes out and wins this race and Carter Lundy finishes dead last, it may not make a difference because it all boils down to the drop weeks and what you've done over the prior 8 weeks that have counted.
Yeah, drop weeks are huge, only counting 8 weeks. That gives you 4 weeks off, 4 weeks of vacation. I think Carter Lundy has only taken 4 weeks off for the USF series. He took a lot of weeks off for the PM18s, but he was mostly on top of it for the USFs, and if he wasn't winning one of these races, he won another split, or another time slot. So, frankly, I think it might be Lundy in this one, but we won't be able to know until next Monday.
Yeah, Carter Lundy with 17 starts over 8 weeks, 8 wins, 17 top fives, 13 poles. His average start is 2, his average finish is 2, and he's led 150 of 281 laps completed. Just absolutely insane numbers. But David Porcelli, just as good. 7 wins across 20 starts, 15 top fives, 3 poles, average start a third, average finish of 4th. He has been really, really impressive. Another number, couple of numbers that are just jumping out at me is absolutely crazy. We have 5 drivers in the top 25 overall in points with 25 or fewer incident points over the course of the season. The highest ranking of those being Nicholas Daly in 4th with only 24 incidents. In a D-Class series, that's really difficult to pull off.
Yeah, it just goes to show, just because the series is D-Class series, just because it's pointed towards rookies, doesn't mean these are rookies driving it. some of the best drivers on the service love driving these cars. Johnny Avila, unfortunately not being able to join us tonight for this one. He is fairly good in these cars, really enjoys running them, and you see, he's one of the best on the oval side in the stock cars. He just loves these cars because, frankly, it's the perfect race car.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and James, this is one of those places where being down on horsepower compared to the Indy Pro, we're really going to notice a difference in this because you just don't have the straight line speed, so you can't have a mistake. The mistake that Carter Lundy made, missing the chicane, that's race over if you do it in these cars.
Yeah, this is pretty much a momentum car, so if you lose that momentum, you're pretty well screwed. So if you're going to make a move, you have to just be able to nail it. Like you said, if you air mail it through a chicane, you're not going to be able to have that awesome recovery Carter had. You're going to be pretty well screwed.
Carter Lundy is your quick timer at a 1 minute 30.150. Second quick, almost a full second back. Rob Hubertis, Rod Eskew, Michael Viprino, and Pavel Kuzmarek round out in the top 5. 8 cars have taken time of the 16 on the entry list for this one. I know we were kind of making a joke about it with the thanking all of our, well, not real corporate backers here. The PBS-style family foundations that are presenting these shows. But the reality is it's the drivers that are doing the watchbacks that are contributing to the costs of these broadcasts. We have to say a huge thank you to the entire U.S. Open Wheel community. Their support is going to bring us back for another season. We're really looking forward to it, and we can't thank you and your families, and your supporters enough for allowing us to come hang out with you on a Thursday night. Because quite frankly, this is just a ton of fun as Nagisa Yoshikawa completes his qualification run. Let's pick up Firas Nasser. He is working lap number 1 of his qualifying run, as is David Porcelli, as Michael Viprino moves himself up to position number 4. Oh, buddy, Nasser going to slide it around, get off the racetrack. Oh, and he's beached as well.
And that'll end that.
Yeah, that'll end that qualifying run. David Porcelli, lap number 1, did not score. So he's going to have to put something up on the board here on lap number 2. Ben Carswell coming in 12th quick. AJ Camargo working his second lap. He is 9th on the board. Felipe Piotto and Augusto Fontes also on the racetrack. Looks like Piotto will not get a lap in here in qualifications. Augusto Fontes moving up to the 11th position. Going to drop Carswell back to 13th. And Adrian B. I guess we don't get a last name on Adrian, but...
I like how he just comes up as B on the timing and scoring as well.
That is correct. Yeah, give you last names only. That's what you're going to get there in timing and scoring. See what David Porcelli does here on lap number 2 is he will see the checkered flag on his qualification run, and he will go third quick, 1 minute 31.026. About 0.8 of a second back as Rob Hubertis moves to within 0.6 of a second of Carter Lundy. This is going to be big for these guys, James. You just have to nail the start on this one if you want to have a shot at Carter Lundy.
Yep, he's going to be super quick. You need to run a perfect race if you're going to have an opportunity to get at him. Work that draft the best you can.
Porcelli has completed his qualification run. Let's take a look here. Firas Nasser. Oh, we pick him up again, and he has another off track. Tough break. Nasser will not score a lap. Felipe Piotto does not score a lap either, as we are down inside of 15 seconds. So Your grid is set for this one. No real surprise here as Carter Lundy will pick up the pole position for tonight's season finale at the Oulton Park Circuit. Now, one final time this season, let's grid them up and go racing. Fixed setup, so it shouldn't take them very long to get out onto the starting grid.
Yeah, no forgetting to put the race setup on in this series. Just hop in, press the green button, and go.
Ah.
Watson says that with personal cry.
Let's take a look at your starting lineup. Carter Lundy lining up alongside of Rob Humbertees on row number 1, as we mentioned, to be about 0.6 of a second the gap between those two cars on the front row. Row number 2 will have David Porcelli lining up alongside the number 3 of Nagisa Yoshikawa. Row 3, the Dunkin' Donuts number 15 of Michael Viprino. That car is beautiful. I love it. He's lining up alongside the number 4 of Rod Eskew. We need Dunkin' Donuts as a sponsor in one of these series. Mike Holler in the Citizens Climate Lobby number 9 alongside the 0 number 7 of Brian LaMarche. One of the best paint schemes you'll see. This graphic does not do it justice. Everything in white is chromed out on this car. Mirror finish chrome. Absolutely stunning race car for Brian LaMarche. Row 5 will have Pavel Kuzmarek lining up alongside of Mieje Camargo. Eastern Europe alongside Brazil on the 5th row for this one. Kyle Phillips in the Yingling number 13. That would be the DG Yingling and Sons number 13 alongside the number 12 of Augusto Fontes. Ben Carswell alongside of Adrian B on row number 7. Final 2 cars to get a lap in here in qualifying. Firas Nasser and Felipe Piotto. The final 2 cars on the grid here on row number 8. They did not set a lap in qualifications. Field's going to pull away behind the iRacing safety car. We will get ready to go one final time here in 2023 Season 2. They'll get a week off. We'll put out the schedule posts on the social medias. Then we will be right back in action. But coming up Saturday night, the Vintage 500 IRO1s, IRO5s, the crap wagons, Lotus 79s, Lotus 49s, and the sprint car. Multi-class racing at Indianapolis for an hour with no caution flags and lots of pitch strategy going to come into play. I am thoroughly excited for that one. We'll give you some more details on this one, but going to be a short race here. Only 10 laps. Pace car makes that hard right-hand turn onto pit lane. Green flags in the air. We're underway here at Oulton Park.
They're going to look to go 3 wide in the one. Maybe not.
Porcelli thought about making the big move. Get you the look from high overhead here. Maybe a little too high, but the view from the drone. Pavel Kuzmarek having an issue. Several cars showing off tracks. Oh my goodness, we have a bunch that are off the racetrack. Let's take a look here. We're going to have to bring this one back. We have several replays we're going to have to show you here. Let's see. We'll start with an issue for Mike Holler. Oh, big crash.
Oh!
Brian LaBarge. Wow.
Oh, man.
Huge hit at both ends for Brian LaBarge. My goodness. Let's take a look at this one again. Huge hit from LaBarge, and then Carswell with nowhere to go. Let's take a look and go. Let's go on board with Ben Carswell for this one. Oh my goodness, and Pavel Kuzmarek went for a wild ride back there. Oh my goodness, let's take a look at that one. We've got huge incidents all over the place here. You're not missing anything at the front of the field. Kuzmarek gets hooked and...
Oh,
Wow!
crap.
It's a good thing these are pretend race cars, because I'm pretty sure that might have been tragic.
Yeah. That's... yes. Oh, possibly trouble for David Porcelli. No, maybe not. Let's see. No, he's good. David Porcelli in position number 2. That was Ben Carswell that we were seeing stationary on pit lane. But it's going to be Lundy, Porcelli, Hubertis, and Yoshikawa side by side. Hold on to it, boys. Well done through the chicane. Hubertis going to be able to hold on to third. Quite frankly, that carnage at the start is why you see people start from pit lane in the D-Class races. So Mike Holler is on pit lane. Brian Labarge already out of the race. Pavel Kuzmarek and Ben Carswell. Well, let's see. Holler may be back on the racetrack here. Carter Lundy owns the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 30.289. Here as we work lap number 3. Top 2 separated by a second. It's another second, 2.5 seconds. Back here to this battle for third between Hubertis and Yoshikawa. The 15 of Viprino and the 4 of Rod Eskew also going to be in this battle. As Yoshikawa again looks inside. Nothing quite there. Oh, how about the paint job on Viprino's car? The spec map work is gorgeous. That is
Oh, man.
the chromed out or metallic pink on that machine.
You know, if Duncan stores looked half as good at that car, I might stop there for lunch more often.
Trouble on the speedway for Firas Nasser. Let's take a look and see what happened to 6. Wow!
Oh,
Another big one out on the racetrack.
let's ride on board with Nasser.
Yeah, we will come back to him in a
That
second.
one.
Let's see what happened here first. 14 overshoots the corner. That's not a
man.
safe rejoin. I think Pavel Kuzmarek got airborne for the second time in this race.
Not quite airborne. Definitely trying to have a Formula 5 car there.
Let's try this one and take a look at the onboard.
Oh, man, just gets into the grass and just... You know what? That was best case scenario there. Didn't hit anything, just got it a little sideways. I don't think he lost the position doing that either. He gained a hell of a bunch from, though, with all the cars wrecking.
Yeah, there was your race leader, Carter Lundy. 1.3 seconds the gap over David Porcelli. 3.3 back to Rob Hubertis in third. And this is by far the best racing on the racetrack right now. And James, if you're in Nagisa's shoes, I mean, he's one of your main guys here at Team Watson Racing Setups. He's very level-headed, but you still you have a little bit of stress there of, am I concentrating on defending or am I concentrating on attacking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, is that you kind of have to monitor all of it. Like, you can't focus on one thing. That's the most difficult thing about it. You're just doing the best you can.
takes next time by for Carter Lundy. Oh, trouble now for DAJ Camargo. Let's take a look. Another Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. See what happened to Camargo. Oh, just clips a little bit of grass. And that's all it takes to get you spun around. He comes back out onto the racetrack. Pretty much no harm, no foul. Oh, good battle now between Viprino and Rodescu. As Hubertis and Yoshikawa start to pull away a little bit. This battle for the 5th position now. Thinking back to a discussion that we were having during the Indy Pro race, with the new content drop that's coming next week, James, you could probably speak to this a little better than Patrick and I can, but the visuals from Willow Springs look absolutely stunning.
They do. That track looks so gorgeous. I'm really curious to see how the new grass model looks.
The new grass model, the new terrain models, the new cloud modeling that's coming, and very obviously prepping for rain later this year, because some of the screen grabs we've seen from iRacing show detailed cloud covers. I mean, really just, it's going to change how this sim looks. It looks good right now. I think some of these newer venues that are coming out are going to kind of take it that next step to just visually spectacular.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to where they keep going with this. I mean, kind of not really, because I don't have the best setup, so the better they make this game, the harder it is for my system to run it. But
It's a simulation, not a game.
Yeah, sure,
Sorry,
whatever.
excuse me.
Yeah, that's, yeah, I'm going to say it's kind of a line that you have to walk, because our stuff here, as these updates drop, it's going to change the way we have to do these broadcasts, because right now you can get away with using a single computer to pull off the broadcast and a high quality iRacing experience. That's not necessarily true the harder they work the GPUs in these things. I mean, when a 4000 series card becomes a minimum and the card's been out for less than a year, that makes things tough on a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, the simulation already looks absolutely stunning, and especially when you start taking screenshots. The way I set my system up to take screenshots, I get maybe 3 to 4 frames per second. It's absolutely brutal, but then I look at my desktop backgrounds and they look just like real life, and it's fantastic. So for the screenshot desktop background kind of photos, I'm really excited to see what they can do. But for the actual racing side of it, I'm not sure I need pretty. Oh man! Did he save it? Oh
no, he didn't.
Big contact
Ouch.
with the right front for Michael Viprino, and he has to take the toe.
But for the racing side of things, I don't need pretty. I'll still hop on Indy 500 to simulation all the way back from 1989 and go turn laps. Just as long as it feels good, as long as it's fun, I'm game.
So continuing to follow this battle with Rob Hubertis and Nagisa Yoshikawa. This is the fight for the final spot on the podium. Carter Lundy holding a 2.5 second lead over David Porcelli. And there's nobody else within a second of each other here, as your race leaders will come around pretty quickly. But just 2 laps to go.
Well, hey, there was a car there that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, one's still around backwards. I believe believe that was, let's see, I believe that was Firas Nasser still trying to get his car unstuck. Let's take a look at the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay, see what happened to Nasser back here. Oh, just a little clip of the grass.
Same thing. Oh man, just taps the inside wall.
Kisses the inside wall. And then the problem, did he get it beached? Yes, he did. Got it high-sided. Tough break.
Austin Powers should be proud, though.
Yes. We'll see a little bit of smoke up here from somebody. Not sure who that was. Seeing a couple of cars having off tracks, but an off track could be just kind of clip the grass with your tires. That can be enough to trigger the off track. So we're not going to go totally hunting for a little bit. I think what we're seeing here with Hubertes and Yoshikawa really is that lack of horsepower. It's just so difficult to get a pass made here, James, because so you just have to kind of time the draft right and hope the momentum is there on corner exit.
Yeah, you just have to set it up perfectly. It's so hard because it takes so much time, so much focus, and ability to think several corners ahead to make a pass and pull it off at a place like this.
Yoshikawa and Hubertes both picking up an off track there. Actually, Porcelli and Lundy did as well. So on this final lap of the U.S. Open Wheel season, we'll stay with the battle for third, at least for a few more seconds anyway, as Carter Lundy is 8.5 seconds up on this battle. Just a dominant performance here tonight. Yoshikawa, one more dive into the chicane. He's going to try to outbrake Hubertes. Oh, they make contact. What a save by Yoshikawa.
I don't think they made contact. I think Yoshikawa just cut the chicane too tight.
Whichever way it was, great save by Yoshikawa. But he's going to lose about 1.5 seconds to Hubertes. Over through Leap Deer, one of my favorite quarter names on iRacing. Twin checkers are out, and Carter Lundy gets the win at Oulton Park. And he sets a new fastest lap of the race in doing it, 1 minute 30.064. David Porcelli will come home second, third to Rob Hubertes. Nagisa Yoshikawa, Rod Eskew will complete your top 5. Carter Lundy picks up the win, and I'm going to call it. I know it's not technically official yet, but one of the better SOF races you're going to get this week, if not the best, and Carter Lundy picks up the win in it. He is, I'm going to say 95, 99% likely he will be your 2023 Season 2 champion in USF2000. We'll have to do some math and look at some combined points between USFs and Indy Pros. Actually, no, because Lundy was, he missed too many Indy Pro races. But great championship battle here between Porcelli and Lundy in USF2000. Oh, and Mike Holler just ran him off the road. I think everybody had crossed the line, Because actually, technically, that would be something, it would be protestable if it caused some sort of a safety rating issue. But I think Carter Lundy's going to be okay on that one. So let's take a look and show you your final race results. Carter Lundy getting the win by 4 seconds over David Porcelli. Rob Hubertes in third, rounding out the podium. Nagisa Yoshikawa and Rod Eskew complete the top 5. Augusto Fontes, Kyle Phillips, Felipe Piotto, Nieje Camargo, and Michael Viprino will round out the top 10 here in this one. Back through the 16th position, Mike Collar, Brian Labarge, Adrian B., Firas Nasser, Pavel Kuzmarek, who had an absolutely wild ride, and Ben Carswell in the number 16, finishing in position number 16. David Porcelli's out here doing donuts with Carter Lundy as well.
So maybe David knows something we don't. Maybe he's the champion of this as well. Like I said, we're going to have to wait till Monday to know for sure.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, is you kind of have to wait until you get official numbers from iRacing. That will, once the week is over, because the way the point structure works, the more races you run, the more of those races you average out, and you start dropping races, and there's all sorts of stuff that comes into it. So claiming a championship, especially in D class, you can't necessarily identify that as this is what's happening right until the end of the season. But we will back our replays up here a little bit, and
we should put up a poll. Let the viewers decide. I want to run something in the official series for next season. What should I run? Give me some weird series to go out there and run all 12 weeks and see how terribly I do.
The IRL one.
Yeah, but I don't have time to make the half split a month that goes official.
Yeah, that's correct. No, it's more
That's a
something
you
like
problem.
Dirt midgets.
I love the midgets. That's a good idea. I might actually go run the midgets for a full season, especially if Dirt's getting a whole overhaul. I'll run the midgets.
Yes, let's take a look here and bring up our runner-up finisher here tonight into the booth with us, Mr. David Porcelli. And I'll tell you what, David, on raw outright pace, it was kind of close but no cigar there with Carter. And we saw you make the big move on lap 1. I kind of felt like that may have been the shot if you were going to get around him.
Yeah, Carter had some killer pace. Once he broke the draft, it was sort of a wrap. Happy to secure the podium. It's sort of been my mantra this season, and it's secured me a championship in one car and P2 in the other. So might need to step up my level of aggression next season, but really, really proud of what I was able to accomplish through these past 12 weeks. And yeah, this race was that like I said in the last interview, Carter has some pace on me here this season, which is funny because last season I definitely had pace on him at this track. So it's just cool to see that it's not necessarily like a home track advantage or anything like that. We can trade.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you talked about having to be more aggressive because it almost feels like this is a car that rewards patience a little bit. How do you balance that need to be more aggressive with the demand of the car requiring almost spot perfect momentum keeping?
You just got to be willing to, it's funny. In this car, you sort of have to sail it. The inputs are so gentle and soft that it is really confusing when you send it in a little bit quicker, and it's different than the Pro Mazda, and it seems like Carter's got it pieced together a little bit a little bit more than I do. So I'm looking forward to getting some practice in through week 13 and trying to bring the challenge to him next season.
Well, we're looking forward to following it along again here on the NRN airwaves, and we appreciate you coming out tonight. Congratulations again on the championship in Indy Pro, the runner-up finish in USF2000. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and thank yous one more time.
Absolutely. Shout out to Satellite Racing. Thanks to Team Watson Racing and Mr. James Watson. Shout out to the family. Hi to Brianna. And I think that covers everyone. Oh, shout out to Racecraft One Indianapolis. Thanks so much to National Racing Network for an awesome broadcast, and hope to see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us. And now it's time to bring in the champ, a guy who had, quite frankly, an all-around great season, outright pace numbers that were just crazy. We talked through the numbers a little bit earlier. 17 starts entering tonight, so it'll be 18 starts, 9 wins, 18 top fives, 14 poles, and possibly an average finish close to 1 point something. Carter Lundy, congratulations. Just an incredible season here in the USF.
Yeah, thank you. I think the most impressive stat of them all is 17 races, because I think that's about 120 less than last season. So definitely brought that number down. And yeah, I didn't do too many races this season. I guess like 2 a week on average or something like that. But the broadcasts I made were great. We had some great races this season. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of great racing. It's a shame we missed out on Ted for quite a few races there. So hopefully he'll be able to make a few more next season. And yeah, it was a great season. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it too. And it was interesting. David was talking about the balance between being extra aggressive and having to make some bigger moves when you have outright pace on him on a given night. We saw that your willingness to be aggressive with the chicane here in the Indy Pro car. How do you view that as a balance? Because this is a very different car to drive from that Indy Pro.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Well, I wouldn't say it's a lot different, but I'd say the braking points are pretty similar, and turning in points. It's just the amount of downforce you have in Indy Pro, and then of course you have the straight line speed. In this, you have to be a lot more patient with the brakes. You can't really slam them as hard as Indy Pro. You have to let them come in slowly through the braking zone, and you don't have as much initial turn in, so you just have to be a little bit smoother. And yeah, I had a few moments in the chicane last race, just being a little bit more cautious this race, because when you do something like that, it just gets in your head for a little while there. So just taking that chicane a little bit cautious. And I had a really good lap in qualifying, actually. It was a 30.1, which is a really good lap time, but it was because it was a banker. It was pretty good. And through the chicanes, I clipped the barriers, so I don't know why it didn't give me a 0x, but just about as good of a quali lap as you can do. But yeah, it was a good night. Nice to get a couple of wins there, and already looking forward to next season, as I said.
That's crazy. You're talking about a 130.1 being a banker lap, and you felt it was a really good one. Your best lap in this race, 130.064. So you actually outpaced yourself in race trim from qualifying. Fantastic drive tonight, Carter. Congratulations on the win and the championship. And before we let you go, do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Yep. Thanks to you guys again for putting on the broadcast this season. Again, I'm not sure who has the info for where to donate, but yeah, hopefully we can raise enough for next season as well, and be back every Thursday, and have a bunch more great races. So thanks to you guys for the season, and thanks to everybody for showing up, giving us a good race on every Thursday, and see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here. And if you are interested in contributing to the race fund, that would be the information is available on the iRacing forums, also the TNT Racing Discord, discord.gg/TNT Racing. Or you can also leave super chats, super thanks here in the comments on YouTube. Those will be applied for this race directly to next season's coverage costs as well. Once again, thank you much. We appreciate everybody here this season. And James, to kind of wrap things up a little bit here, another really fun season of the U.S. Open Wheel doubleheader.
Yes, sir. The series never fails to put on some awesome racing. It's the first time where we haven't had like a barn burner battle for the title going down to the last lap in a few years, or a few seasons. So it's not quite used to it, but yeah, still nonetheless a really awesome season. A lot of awesome moments. So many crazy photo finishes. The races were closer than the championship.
Yeah, excuse me. The racing was great, and Patrick, you're getting to come on board with us here a little bit this season, towards the end of things anyway. One of my favorite things about watching these cars and watching the series develop is sometimes the car counts are not always crazy, but that usually means either one or two really big splits, or you end up with like 3 or 4 smaller splits, and either way, you end up with a great tight field at the top and really fun battles to watch just throughout.
Yes, smaller splits does not necessarily mean worse racing, because in this series especially, either the USF2000s or the PM18s, usually your top 3-4 guys are right there with each other. They're drafting each other. They're going for passes every single opportunity that they get, and not pulling away very far from each other. It's always a blast. And frankly, if we could just take the top 4 or 5 guys in each series and give them their own showcase, we'd have just as good of a show. And I'm not discounting the rest of the guys in the field. There is more than plenty of times where we're looking at the back of the pack, not even focusing on the front, and go, holy crap, the leaders are too wide. There's great battles all throughout in this series, and if you're just new to iRacing, getting into it, come try these cars out. Because I guarantee you, it probably will be your home for the rest of your time on iRacing. They're better than any of the high horsepower stuff anyway.
Well, yeah, and especially if you're newer to the iRacing platform, you get out of rookies on the roadside, and the paths start to diverge, and there's a lot of options. If you like running formula cars but hate the carnage that is F4 and F3, this is a perfect alternative to that. It really is. The community is fantastic. A great group of people to hang out with, and we really enjoy bringing you the coverage too.
Both of these cars are on the F4 chassis. The USF2000 is almost identical to the F4 car. The only difference being the USF2000 is just a hair bit heavier just because of the extra bracing of the oval they run every year. The PM18 is same chassis, same short wheelbase, a little bit more downforce, but as much power as a Formula 3 car. So it's just a wild little beast. And it makes it really easy to move up because they drive very similarly. So you can hop in, get in the USF2000, go out there, race it, get good with the fix setup, and then move right up to the PM18. Very similar driving car, a little bit more power, a little bit more difficult to drive, and it's open setup, so you can start learning how to build the setups for the cars as well. Or if you don't want to get into that, visit our friends at TeamWatsonRacingSetups.com. They'll get you hooked up.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're looking forward to bringing you another season of the U.S. Open Wheel doubleheader. Also looking forward this weekend to the Vintage 500. I will be driving in it, so there will be no live broadcast. But we will do something in a highlight show, maybe even kind of do a watch back of the full race, because every year that event is just incredible. We're really looking forward to it. And I think we're going to have a very big field of cars. IR01's doing 240, almost 250 into the corners. The IR05, Indy Racing 05, the crap wagon car that ran at Indianapolis for the better part of a decade. The Lotus 79 replicating the Indy cars of the 80s. The Lotus 49 replicating the Indy cars of the 60s. and the sprint car, which is sort of the roadster-ish era, but only because it's front-wheel drive and it's an or front-engine car, I should say, and an absolute death machine down the straights, through the corners. It hates to be everywhere. It's fun. We are really looking forward to that one coming up. You can find that on the iRacing Open, hosted this coming Saturday night. Details on the TNT Racing server at discord.gg/TNT Racing. All your real-world racing news over at nationalracingnetwork.com as well. Thank you very much to our fantastic crew of writers and photographers over there. And with that, it's time for us to get the hell on out of here for the final time here in 2023 Season 2. For Patrick Byrne, James Watson, and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.